we are following the latest developments in the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. We're joined now by Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen. Senator, our thoughts are with everyone in Maryland, in your state, this afternoon and evening. Let's begin, sir, with where this federal response could begin. You have served Maryland for many years. What is needed at this time, knowing that it's still an unfolding situation?
Well, you're right. First and foremost, our thoughts are with the families of the 6 missing individuals who were on the bridge, and the search and rescue mission continues. We are, of course, looking at the longer-term impact. I was pleased to talk to President Biden earlier today before he spoke to the nation, and he has pledged the full support of the federal government, and we'll work with our colleagues in Congress to do that. So it means, first and foremost, helping to clear the channel under this bridge. The Port of Baltimore is a thriving port. We are the busiest port when it comes to roll-on, roll-off automobiles. And so lots of jobs connected with the livelihood of the port. We need to get that channel cleared. And then, of course, replacing the bridge will come next. And we're going to have to work very hard to get those resources put together to do the job.
We saw after the I-95 disaster in Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro there worked very quickly with state and local and federal authorities to try to get something to happen. You know Maryland and federal politics as well as anyone. What really needs to happen now to make that timeline shorter in terms of rebuilding the bridge?
Well, there are 2 things. First, we want to quickly access what's called the Federal Emergency Relief Fund. This is a fund within the Federal Highway Administration. The state of Maryland will quickly submit its proposal, and we expect fast action on that. And then we will work in Congress for the longer-term funding piece for the bridge. We need to do an assessment and timeline. It will take time, and it will be expensive. In the meantime, we do want to focus on clearing that port channel. Thousands of jobs are immediately at stake, and thousands more with the ripple effect of the economy of the Port of Baltimore, and it's up and down the East Coast. So, number 1, search and rescue. Number 2, clear the channel, reopen the port. Number 3, rebuild the bridge.
You spoke with President Biden today, but if you had a chance to have a conversation with Speaker Johnson, the Republican leader in the House, what would you tell him about what needs to happen now?
I would say, Speaker Johnson, this is a time when everybody needs to come together, Republicans or Democrats. Party label doesn't matter. This is a national emergency. When we have national emergencies in America, we need to come together and stick together and get the job done. I did talk to Senator Schumer earlier today, so I know that the Senate is absolutely committed to getting the job done. I do look forward to reaching out to Speaker Johnson and hope that he will join us as a fellow American in this effort.
Is there any discussion at this point with the president or Leader Schumer about the number that's going to be required, at least on the congressional level, in terms of funding to make this project, this rebuilding, happen?
It's too early to put a specific price tag on what this will cost in terms of the bridge replacement. I do know that as we speak, the president has ordered the Army Corps to deploy right now to help with the clearing under the bridge to open that shipping channel. I believe we'll also have some U.S. Navy assets deployed to help with that effort. The Coast Guard is here as we speak as part of the search and rescue operation. So the federal government is a full partner with the city of Baltimore and the mayor of Baltimore and with Maryland and our governor.
Our focus, of course, today, as it should be, is on those affected directly, the families. But when you step back, help us understand, as someone who knows Maryland, what could the potential economic cost be of having this bridge down?
Oh, so there are 2 pieces to this, Robert. One is the bridge itself. It's about 35,000 people a day cross this bridge, and they will be diverted, at least temporarily, to other ways to get to and from the city of Baltimore. That will have an impact, but the larger economic impact, at least in the coming months, will be that Port of Baltimore. As long as ships cannot get in and out, it will have a harmful impact on jobs there. Just the workers' salaries and wages on a one-day basis is $2 million. There are thousands of jobs directly connected with the port, and then tens of thousands more when you think of the whole sort of ecosystem for the Port of Baltimore. So that will be a priority in terms of the economic impact. The bridge rebuilding, of course, is essential to getting people to and from places more easily. But in terms of the economic impact on people's livelihoods, it's really clearing this channel, getting the ship, moved aside, whatever necessary, so that the ships that are currently in the Port of Baltimore, and I think there are about 4 of them, can get out. And there are about 20 ships that had been waiting to get into the Port of Baltimore that will have to be diverted elsewhere. But that gives you an idea of just how busy a port this is, and we need to make sure we get it up and running again as soon as possible.
Has anyone told you, as the United States Senator, when this could happen, when the port could reopen to have that free flow of commercial ships?
We don't know because we have to assess exactly, what the debris situation is from the ship that is literally under the bridge right now. And we've got to make sure that channel is cleared, but it is absolutely a priority. Search and rescue mission, of course, comes first, but then they are going to be looking at the next steps. The Army Corps was around the briefing table that we had. They're ready to go, as are all the other federal assets that the president has ordered deployed. That's on top of the city and state efforts as well.
Senator Chris Van Hollen, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.